Good morning, everyone. Dave here, and I just wanted to show you this new treasure I found. Picked this up yesterday at a estate sale. It is a Pyrex Flameware coffee percolator, the 6-cup variety. These were fairly common back in the day, but you don't see them too much anymore. I got this little guy for $10. It needed some cleaning, but it has all of the original pieces. Percolator with stem, glass coffee basket with both top and bottom aluminum lids, and of course the original lid here. There's no chips on any of the tabs. The pouring spout is intact. And this one has the larger handle. These were made between the 30s and late 50s, if I recall. And the larger handle on mine here suggests this is probably towards the end of the production run. It's one of the more quote-unquote safer models, and it was probably produced somewhere in the late 50s, maybe, or excuse me, early 50s, maybe late 40s. But either way, I thought I'd show you all how it works. I'm a big fan of percolators. There's something about the way they work, and they actually make pretty good coffee if you pay attention to what you're doing. So first step is I'm going to measure 6 cups of water. Alright, 6 cups of water in the pot, in the carafe, whatever you want to call this guy. I call it a pot because it appears that these are also advertised for use as saucepans, so it's more of a pot to me than a carafe, but you get the idea. Turn the burner on here. Now the trick to using these, or at least in my opinion anyway, is coffee doesn't brew at boiling temperatures. It brews a little bit around 200 degrees. That's the ideal temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this thing on high here, let the water start not quite boiling, but once it starts showing signs of boiling, we'll start reducing the temperature. The reason I'm going to start reducing the temperature before it boils is because with this glass top stove, this top here is going to retain a lot of heat and keep heating the water even after I turn the burner back off. So we'll keep an eye on that, but in the meantime, we'll prepare our filter basket here, get it filled with grounds, and ready to go. I'm going to put the percolator stem aside for now. And my mother would tell me stories of her mother making coffee in one of these exact same pots back when she was young, and she mentioned that her mom would use these little filter discs in the bottom of this, and I speculate that was probably for using finer grinds of coffee in this device, because as you can see I have a very coarse grind here ready to go. This is an Italian blend of Peet's coffee, and I just got it right at the grocery store, put it through the grinder myself, and I used the grind setting for stovetop percolators, and it's been perfect. I haven't had to use any filters other than the built-in aluminum basket. So my recipe is about 1 tablespoon per cup, and I'm putting in 6 cups, so we'll do 6 tablespoons. Sorry, the camera's all over the place right now. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Oops. Okay. So now we have 6 cups of grounds in our filter basket. What I'm going to do here is just put my finger over the hole for the stem and shake it around, distribute the grounds evenly. And there we have it. Our filter basket is ready to go. What I'll do is I will snap, or excuse me, not snap, but just set the lid back on top and set this whole assembly now right back over the percolator stem. And that's ready to go. As soon as our water is going to start boiling here, it's probably going to take a few more minutes, so I'll be back. Okay, we're getting closer here. You can see the water is kind of toiling around in there. Bubbles are starting to form. Just a couple more minutes and that should be ready to start brewing. Now, you're probably saying, Dave, what the hell do I want to use something like this for? You know, it's old, it takes forever, it's kind of complicated. The thing is, we take things like this for granted. Stupid little rice cooker. You put water in it, put your rice, you press a button, it's done. You know, auto drip coffee makers, you put everything in, you press a button, a couple minutes later, it's done. Thing is, it's just a simplified process. It's a convenience, you know. This takes a little bit of skill to actually make a good cup of coffee. And, you know, it's foolproof. You don't need electricity, you don't need anything. You just put it on a stove, you put it on a campfire, put it on a camp stove, whatever, and it's going to make coffee. And all it takes is a little bit of knowledge on how to use it. So, I guess that's what I find so intriguing about it. I'm also a big coffee drinker. I actually already have a few cups I made earlier in here ready to go. And, it's been really good. Getting closer yet. I'd say another minute or so. So here we go. We are reaching the stage where I would say we're about ready to start brewing. The water is reaching almost 220 degrees now. It's starting to give off some bubbles, and like I said, this burner is going to continue to emit heat long after I turn this off. So I'm going to turn this all the way down to number 1, and as you can see, it's still doing its thing. We're going to take our grounds and our percolator stem. Now this is Pyrex glass, so we don't really have to worry about temperature shocking it. And I'm just going to set this right down in the middle, just like so. Put my lid on. And we're going to set the timer here for, let's say, 7.5 minutes. What's happening here is the water is heating under that percolator stem. Pressure is forcing that water up through the top, where it'll spit out of that stem, and thanks to the top aluminum cover, it will be diffused over the entire glass basket of grounds. And as you can see, the coffee is already coming out of the basket. Now the amazing thing is that the basket itself kind of touches the water. It's already sitting in the hot water, but because the water is not hot enough up here, it's not actually brewing what's in the basket. It's only brewing what's flowing through to the top and then percolating down. The other amazing thing about this is, even though there's no filter, just this little basket, fine particles that find their way out will either come to rest on the stem, which you can't see anymore, the bottom of that stem, or anything that makes its way around just gets sucked back up by the percolator action, and it'll make its way back into the top of the basket. So you, believe it or not, actually end up with less grounds than you might in an improperly loaded auto drip. I haven't had any grounds in this carafe this morning, or in any of the other drinks or cups that I've drinking since I bought it yesterday. So I'll check back in a couple minutes. Looks like we have about 5 more minutes to go here. Alright, so we're winding down to the last minute here. The knob is still between low and 1, and as you can see, it's still percolating happily, perfectly doing its thing. I'm going to get ready here to finish my pot of coffee. So I'm going to take this plate here and this little grate of sorts, and you'll see what I'm going to do with those in just about a second here. Let's say about 10-15 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and shut the heat source off. Let's take that guy off. I'm going to put him right on this grate here. That'll stop perking in just a moment. I'm going to pull this top filter part off, and yes, it is hot, just so I can get a better grip on the glass stem, because the next step is to pull that sucker right out of there. And we'll place them right there. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, you can see all the sediment that's fallen out of the basket and has landed here on the percolator pump. And I guess you can't really tell, but there's going to be very little grounds in here, because whatever landed on the bottom of the pot around that pump just got sucked up and spit back into the coffee basket. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We have 6 cups of freshly brewed percolated coffee. I'm going to add it to my carafe here. Ooh, look at that. She's still steaming from this morning. Ooh. Well, I guess I didn't drink as much as I thought. That's alright, I'll top up my cup over here. Nice, fresh, hot coffee. And there we go. Ooh. No grounds. Set her back there to cool off, and that, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, is my Pyrex Flameware 6 cup coffee maker, circa 1950s.